Welcome to Purpenthicity. Today's podcast is going to break our normal mold of every 2-week release, and that's largely due to the recent murder of George Floyd. We're going to talk about different ways that you can step up to be a leader within your community and ultimately use your voice to empower change. Derek and I are pledging that we're going to step up as individuals to put an end to racially charged language and behavior within our individual lives, and we're encouraging everyone else to do the same. It's up to us to change ultimately if we want to change our circumstances.
What is a little shocking to me, man, is like someone just died, was murdered, right? And Donald Trump's tweet is about ruining a police station and the vandalism going on, not about the outrage that should be going on, that yet again another dude got murdered by the police.
My point exactly. I mean, that's
It's just
basically what I'm
bananas.
bringing.
It's freaking bananas.
And look, the only thing that I can do as an individual is bring awareness to it. And I just cannot idly sit by. And I'm not saying that means getting into Facebook debates or anything like that. But when I see something, I am going to make my voice known for it, whether that elicits a conversation or whatever. But I am going to let people know very clearly where I stand on something. I think that's the problem with it, is that nowadays is just that all of these things are happening at a frequency where everyone feels bad about it, but nobody wants to say anything about it to change it. And that is the agency that we all have with our voice. Hey, man, throw it on. Let's start recording.
Bro, what do you think? I'm a fucking rookie, Austin? I started recording this shit minutes ago.
All right, let's go, man. I mean, so let's talk about how we want to structure, and we can kind of get into the story we want to tell here.
I like what we're doing.
All right. I mean, look, we're at a cycle right now. We didn't plan on coming here today to talk about this particular topic, but Derek and I both felt compelled to do so. So, I was just telling a story to Derek. When I woke up this morning, the first thing I saw was a group text from one of my friends talking about Donald Trump's tweet last night. And I know he tweets a lot of stuff, and I'm not even here to make this a political argument one way or the other. But he said, now I'll read it, verbatim. These thugs, in all caps, are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. I just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty, and we will assume control, but when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Thank you. And when I read that, honestly, I didn't even know how to initially respond. I had to go fact check it. I had to get on my Twitter and see if he had actually said that. My thoughts or my stance on that is that's an extremely racially charged tweet. Not taking into consideration of anything that he's ever done before, but how I took it when he said thugs, he's referring to black people. I literally said, and I even posted this on my Twitter and my Facebook, he might as well have said niggers. And honestly, I would have respected him more if he had said that. Honestly, it's because that's what I believe is in his heart. So I'm not here to say whether what he did or what he didn't do. I'm sharing my interpretation of the events that happened. And because of that, this whole day, I've lost an entire day worth of productivity. I literally had to cancel all my work meetings. I had 2 coaching sessions today, and I had to just be straight up. I'm not in a mind space to talk about this right now because I feel I'm triggered right now. I'm angry.
What I find to be ridiculous, and I actually said this a few months ago, dude, it's the person that we have leading this country, I feel like I could do a better job, and I don't feel like that's normal for a random dude to feel like I could be a better president as our current president is. And to your point, man, that's heavy interpretation of the word he used, but I think that even goes further to tell you, even in this moment where it's the 30th black guy that's been killed in the last several years by police, and rather than take a moment of reprieve and mourn and maybe even address the issue, he's again using very subjective terms to describe a group of people, which, to your point, man, when I saw the videos myself, they were predominantly black crowds, calling them all capital letters thugs. it's like I don't even know what's going on, dude. I read a post this morning that we are just in a chapter of a history book right now, and it's not a good one. Like, we're not in a good chapter of our history right now. This is like people are gonna read about us one day and be like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, his rhetoric is divisive, and it is rooted in discriminatory feelings. So whether you're black, whether you're a woman, whether you're gay, I mean, whatever, there has been mention in his presidency of targeting these particular minority groups. And it's, I don't know what the change is. I think the overall theme that I'm feeling right now, that I think it's important for us to talk about, because we have a platform, like we have a podcast platform where people listen to what we have to say about things. And here's what I feel compelled more than anything, is that the individual's voice matters. Everyone's voice matters. That's the only way you start to change things. Because, there's a number of emotions that I feel when for example, when George Floyd was murdered and it was videotaped so that we were all able to see it, because to be quite honest, this is happening way more than I think is even being acknowledged. This is just what was caught on videotape. My first thought was like, I felt discouraged. I was like, well, what can I do? Like, I can't do anything. It's just, this is a systemic problem. The most powerful man in our country is clearly, I don't even want to say racist, although that is what I believe, but even to let's say if that's not as sharp, has discriminatory views towards people of minorities. So I just thought there's nothing that I can do here. And then when I saw that tweet this morning, there was just a stand. It's like, I'm putting my foot down and I'm going to call out if I think that something is wrong based off of my personal beliefs. I don't care if it's the President of the United States. I don't care if it's my boss. I don't care if it's you. I don't care if it's my family. It's just wrong is wrong. And we just have to get to a point at people where we just can't become numb to these type of situations and just sit there and be like, oh, wow, that was terrible, and not say anything about it. We're at the point right now, if you don't say anything about it, if you're not calling out it, you are a part of the problem. And I don't know, man. I thought that was a really powerful message, and I just can't sit back and not say anything.
Well, at a certain point, man, nothing's changing. And if it is changing, no one's talking about what changes are being made. You get people like, I want to know, here's the shit that drives me fucking crazy, dude. If anybody else did that other than a police officer, they'd be in jail right now. But these cops just get administrative leave, like they've been fired from the police. Oh no, they're fired from their fucking jobs.
They're probably still getting paid. Who knows?
And there's people being like, "Oh, we're gonna call for an invest." It's like, what the? It's on goddamn video of a murder happening.
It's a murder. It's a murder.
There was a murder, dude. Like, my heart can't even describe like the feeling that I had on behalf of him, laying there, pleading.
Yeah,
to have a knee
I can't
taken
breathe.
Off my head.
Help, like literally calling out.
I want to know
to help from the authorities.
How stupid the cop can even be that hearing that doesn't trigger the recent video from a year ago. The literally a movement of I can't breathe. This dude says it, and dude, the thing that triggered me to death was the fucking hand in the pocket, like nonchalant. I'm just chilling. I'm just making this happen. I don't give a fuck. It's like the only thing is like he felt like he didn't have a human underneath him.
Well, it wasn't and that's the problem. That is the systemic problem.
We've turned policing into not serving and protecting. We've turned policing into militant forces that it's them versus us. But dude, I'm getting a little fired up right now. The thing that's gonna fucking happen is there's more of us. There's way fucking more of us than there are of them. So if they want to play the us versus you game, then let's fucking play the game. Let's play the game.
And that's the importance of this message, because how you play the game is by using your voice, and you have to stand out and you have to call it out. Because look at it like this. If this wasn't recorded, nothing would be happening. There would be no riots. There would be nothing would happen. There would just be another body count. So that's why
it would be another small family asking for justice, and no one would know about it because it would just bleed into the noise.
I mean, look at Ahmaud Arbery, who was gunned down while going on a jog. That didn't even come to light till 6 weeks after his death. So look, all of these things are continuing to go on. And the point of this message, at least for me, is to say, like, that is not going to change. We're just seeing more of it. So the call is, how are we going to, as individuals, play our role? You want to talk about purpose and authenticity, why we're making this podcast? Like, I felt something this morning. I felt something that was true to, like, my core. I know I want to help people. And if this is a way in helping people and taking, like, authority of their agency and the power that their voice has, then let's go. Because look, that's the only way that this is going to change. For example, you can't fix a problem that you don't recognize is there. And the problem is the majority of our country, to some degree, does not still consider this a problem. The systemic racism, the thought is, oh, well, it's better than it was 50 or 60 years ago. Oh, it's better than 50 or 60 years ago when we were living in segregation and Jim Crow laws. Like, what are you comparing this to? Or it's better than it was 100 years before that when I was property. Like, I wouldn't be considered, I was property. So it's like, what are we comparing to? We should be comparing to, what is it like for, and look, you can't take race out of this, a white man in our country. There's just a different set of circumstances, and it bleeds in throughout our entire, into every fabric of our nation. So look, this is not to get supercharged or political here, but my point is that the voice matters. And I'll sit here and talk about that all day, but you've got to find that as an individual, like, how are you going to choose to express that? But by sitting that and doing nothing, I'm telling you, you are a part of the problem.
It's all the lens, dude. Like, I watched a video this morning of a guy that was going. He said he was in New Orleans, a white guy. And he said he was going to see one of his buddies, who was a black guy, and said, "Meet me in this parking lot. I'll come pick you up." Guy picks his buddy up, and before the car even started rolling, this guy reaches into the glove box, gets his insurance, takes his license out, puts everything above the visor, and the white friend was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "If I get pulled over, I don't want to have to reach for anything." And it's like, in that video, he was like, "I've never in my fucking life worried about that." Austin, let me tell you, dude, I got pulled over once, and I literally said this to the cop. I was like, "I have a gun in my my side thing right here." And the cop was like, "Okay, yeah, no worries. Can you just hop out of the car for me real quick?" Got it, like, put it in the trunk, and I got right back in the car. Like, and back then I was like 20. I had no idea, right? Like, I had no idea the privilege that is. And it's so the privilege to not be killed or fucking shot or punched in the face or kneed on my neck or put into handcuffs, right, while I'm being questioned. I've actually never, well, I've been in handcuffs once, and that was my own fault. But other than that, dude, I've been stopped by the police multiple times. I've never been put in handcuffs or to be detained or questioned. I've also never, ever felt afraid of the police, like, other than getting a ticket. Like, oh, fuck, I don't have any money. I've never been afraid of, like, I hope I'm not killed today.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, dude. It's like, because for, like, the black people in this country, you know what the feeling is because you feel it every day. I feel like what I'm seeing right now is more white people, and I don't know if Spanish, I don't know if that's bulkheaded into, like, I'm also afraid of police, but, like, white people are like, what the fuck is going on? Like, hold on, let's take a step back. What is this privilege thing that people keep talking about?
Yeah. And again, you have to bring awareness to it. I mean, and that's a visceral story. Look, here, let me tell you something that happened to me today. Like, before we got on and started recording, because I've been doing this all day today. I had to take a step and take a walk, and it was hot in my apartment. I walked outside with just my shorts on, no t-shirt, and I just had my visor on. And I was thinking to myself, I was walking down, like, how am I being viewed by being a black person without a shirt on, compared to just, like, if I was just a white person without their shirt on? Like, what type of stereotypes are going to be associated with me just because I'm walking outside without a shirt on in basketball shorts? And again, that's something that maybe never even crossed your mind as just, like, as a white person, right? And not saying that that's right or wrong, but it's just, it's like, it's in every fabric of our society. You want to talk about, like, this system issue here? It's like, look at the relationship that you and I had and how you knew me. You, like, I'd imagine you saw me as somebody who was like a pace setter, who was like very focused on his work, very driven for success in a professional sense. Why do you think it is that I feel like I have to perform that way? Because Derek, as a black person, I don't have any other choice. I have to be. I have to position myself in everything I do in life
I know,
to
that's
even have a
fucking wild,
shot.
man.
So you're talking about things like visceral moments like getting pulled over. I mean, the fact that, here's it right here. The fact that if I am to get pulled over, and I have been pulled over, that I'm thinking to myself, I have to be absolutely on my best behavior, that I cannot be defiant, which means I am inherently losing choice and option, is a perfect representation of what the issue is. Because I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
express myself.
Well, dude, I mean, we have this culture in law enforcement. It feels like it's like shoot first, ask questions last.
And you
Not
know
to,
what? Look,
not to quote a famous rap song, but
no, and I agree with you to a point. And I also want to say, look here, I'm not blindly saying, hey, all the police are bad.
yeah.
I think the number of, let's say, racist cops, we'll say, or racially charged cops or incidents are in the far minority in terms of our total police system. I believe that. However, I don't think it's a surprise that the people that this is happening to are the ones that are the exception. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for our police force. And look, that's an extraordinarily trying and a dangerous job. You have to make split second decisions. But if we even going back to George Floyd, when you're talking about the cop had his hands in his pockets, that was after, if you look at the other side of that shot, somebody else, another police officer, was already on George Floyd and he was handcuffed. So there was absolutely,
Yeah, like what threat did he pose?
Literally, there was none. And so that's my argument to anybody saying, "Oh, well, maybe if you feel like your life is threatened." Like this is not that at all. It's a systemic
And when you watched,
problem.
did you see the video of them escorting him all around the block, dude? Like at no point was he getting aggressive. Like, and the thing is, like, I was even looking for like indiscernible movement. Like, did you pull away at one point? Like, what would have compelled someone to like be in that position? I think you're talking about like it's not even the police, dude, just shitty fucking humans.
Well, yeah, that's why it's like the systemic. It's not the police. It's not even Trump. Like now, Trump, he is a symptom of the problem.
Yep.
And he wields a lot of power because of his platform. He is the president of the United States. He represents you, me, everyone as a nation. So why I think it is so wrong when he uses the rhetoric that he does is because it is divisive and it does not get us, in my opinion, closer to the reality that I wish to live for me, my friends, my family, and my kids.
He's the worst kind of fucking person, dude. But again, we're talking about just like president, whatever, dude. I always look at it as like walls that you're up against when you're talking about like opinions and ideas. And he just doesn't feel like, and dude, this is a greater symptom. Like, look at where he comes from. He comes from white money.
Oh, he's a definition of white privilege,
right? Like he comes from so much privilege. Where like. Dude, I'll never forget I can't understand how we even nominated this dude president, but like his version of making it on his own was his dad only gave him $1 million to start.
10 million, only $10 million.
Dude, yeah. It's like, so these things, it's like, this is just who we have leading our country. And like to a point, dude, this is what we have to be thankful that like the term limits, right? Like,
well, true, but let's even take a step back. Like, again, he is a symptom because at the end of the day, we as a people elected him as president. So obviously that's not you, me, whomever. I sure as hell didn't. But as a people, we did. And so it just goes back to show you elected officials matter. How do elected officials get into office? By our individual voice and our individual vote.
Actually, let's take one little turn here, dude, because that's only partially true. Yes, do your votes go into it? Yes. But who do you see the candidates being? The candidates you see being are the ones with the money. And who has the money, Austin? The old white people have the money. So who's going to be in front of people? The old white people money. The old white people money.
Well, for sure. Well, I mean, look, statistically, white people have a 400-year head start on black people in this country. So they are inherently going to have more money.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you'd think
I'm agreeing with you.
In a democratic nation, money should not be the barrier to having a great leader. Like, look at it. Look at any
agree.
great company. Any great company promotes from within, regardless of their tenure. They promote with a skill set. They promote with a value basis. Not the companies that everyone hates working for are the ones where it's like, I've been here for 10 years, but I'm not eligible for promotion. It's like you're naturally not rewarding the right behaviors. So in this instance, we're only allowing rich people that can fucking read from cards. Like, they're not even probably coming up with their own goddamn policy. They've got teams of people to say, oh, say this. That's going to really hit with the audience. Oh, they're going to love hearing that shit. But what actually gets panned out and done? Like, obviously, we're getting much deeper into the, like, what's broken is how big we are. It's like we're too big to fail as a country, because there's some rapid ass shit that needs to change in this country.
100%.
The way we vote people in, the voter register, like the gerrymandering laws about the counties that are voting, the lines that get drawn, dude. There's just, this whole fucking country's broken.
There's a number of things, but I think it comes down to like the essence of it is like, at the end of the day, every single human life should equal the same value as any other human life. Like, they should all be the same. So it's just like,
I want to live in a society
about?
where it is so fucking frowned upon to do what is happening right now that it's like people are viscerally ill at all layers of age and race and wherever they come from, where it's like, I am finding it, like, I find it unfathomable to have been in the audience of people looking. And if it tells you anything about this country, dude, is that we are rooted in fear, and we are led with fear. Because if I have to be afraid to stop something horrible from happening, what kind of country are we living in? We're certainly not living in a fucking inspiring country. We're living in a society that is ruled by fear.
Or if you're even just fearful of somebody who looks different than you. Like, what is it? We're humans. We're all humans. We all love. We all experience sadness. We all want happiness. We all want the same things. We just look differently. So my hair is more coarse than you. So you grow more facial hair than me. We're all humans. It's all like it's very true. But it's just getting back to it. It's just like, at the essence of it, it's like, do you value human life? And look, President Trump is just one symptom of somebody who does not promote that message. So I will call that out when I see it. When I'm in group text with my friends and something is brought about where race is brought into the equation, I will call that out. Look, even saying something simple like, oh, he's a great athlete because he's black. That is part of the like, why are we associating anything with that? No, it's because of that person's ability. Because the same thing goes to, oh, well, that person's smart because he's white, or that person's wealthy because they're white. We have to start breaking down these stereotypes and constructs. So look, if there's an action that I would encourage people to look at is, even in your own relationship with race, like, what are the stereotypes that you live in today, or that you promote, or even that you may be aware of that you're not even focused on? What lens are you looking at the world at? And, ask yourself that. Is that a world where everyone is treated with respect and love and treated equally? And if not, what are you waiting for? I mean, what is it?
It's so unreal, man.
It is. I mean, look, that's why, look, this might be the most important episode that we've done. Because if you're talking about like authenticity, like this, I don't know if I can be any more raw or be more me right now. Like, this is pure authenticity because it's something that I believe in. This doesn't tie to we're so away from like the core message of even like our podcast, like identifying your purpose.
Well, how about this? Episode 0. How about this could be episode 0? Be a fucking human, a good one.
That's it, man.
And then you can follow the rest of the steps that we lay out in the podcast. But step number 0, the prerequisite to anything is don't be a dick.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm with you. It's like, and this is what I would truly encourage all of our listeners to take away from this: is that your voice matters. And if you are not saying anything, if you are not using
You're part
your
of the
voice,
problem.
You are choosing to sit on the sidelines. And yes, you are a part of the problem. So use it. Each individual is different. Look, for you, it might be, oh, I'm going to create a Facebook post and say what I think. For somebody else, maybe it's just, if my friend says something that I think is insensitive, I'm going to call that out. Because look, some people, this is so deep rooted into the fabric of our country, people may not even realize what they're doing is wrong. So you have to bring awareness to it. I know that sounds crazy, Derek, because it may seem viscerally obvious to some people, but others they might not. Like I'm telling you, with this post that I put on today on my Facebook, people were coming at me and saying, well, hey, like loitering should not be allowed. Like they're completely not even looking at the main issue.
Well, dude, that's because.
Well, let me finish this 1 second.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
well, let me finish. Because, like, look, I'm not condoning loitering and rioting in any capacity. I don't think that's the way. But ask yourself, why are people doing that? It's because a black man, again, was wrongfully murdered by the police, by the system. That's why it's happening. And they can't even focus or see or acknowledge that. So you have to bring awareness. You have to call it out. And that's how we, as humans, as families, as communities, come together to try and create the type of world that we all want to live, or I would say the majority of us want to live in.
Yeah. Well, what we need is a leader.
Yeah, well,
we need many leaders, because the reason, I'll tell you this, dude, like, and let's just even change the scope to tell a story and how it correlates to something else that's much less visceral, but the same like reaction is when you see people striking from an employer, right? It's conditions weren't good, and they weren't good for fucking so long that they're like, fine, we're leaving work, and then negotiations start.
Yeah.
Because there's shitty leaders in place that aren't seeing the problem and changing it. Look at the way, now let's zoom back into this problem. Nothing is changing. We have leadership doing nothing about this.
Or actually rather inciting violence.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, look at,
yeah, like,
and this is where shit can change. Like, I have to believe fundamentally that everything that I think about my my own zoomed in life is that when shit's bad, it means that it's almost over. Because when shit gets bad enough, it means that there's a solution that's going to come from somewhere. So the solution, we need leaders. You're a leader. I'm a leader, right? And then we need to be able to out people that aren't advancing our agenda, dude. Like it fundamentally cannot be okay for anyone to die at the hands of the police that didn't have a fucking gun in their hand and shooting at a police officer. Like, that is unacceptable. If I murder someone on the street right now because they punched me in my face, I'm going to go to prison. Yeah. But right now, if a cop murders that person, they get this random protection because of the profession they chose. And again, I know it's zoomed in. We're talking about not the majority of police, but a segment of them. But if you are, the call to action for me is to the police officers. Check your peers.
Yes.
Right? And again, you can't live in the culture of fear, of reprimanding. Right? If you are what's more important to you, keeping your job or seeing more people die? Because that's the shit that can't be tolerated anymore. If you're a good cop and you see someone doing shitty things and you don't do anything about it, you are the problem.
Exactly. Stand up. Use your voice. Because in that video, there were other police officers who sat there and watched.
Not doing shit.
Which means I hold them just as liable as the officers who actually killed George Floyd. Period.
In law, if I go with you in a commission of a felony and you commit a felony, I am charged with the same felony. Mm-hmm. If I'm in the vehicle with you and you murder people and then go back and we get caught 3 months later, you know what I stand trial for? Murder.
You know, I love that action too. And, you know, before we end this, I think it's also really important just to bring in the Amy Cooper element of this, who, for everyone who's not aware, in New York, this happened a few miles away from me.
I'm going to call the cops and say an
white woman,
black man's
an African-American is threatening me. So she basically lied to the police and literally tried to weaponize exactly what we're talking about right now, which is white privilege and having, like, basically leveraging the system of systemic racism that we have to, like, put harm to an African-American man. And it's just like, look, that is exactly the type of activity that we're talking about. And it's been fascinating to watch. As a result of that, she's lost her dog. She's lost her job. She's been basically completely blasted. And it's like, hey, it's great. But you know what's even better is, like, the actual African-American, the bird watcher, even said this. He was like, hey, like, I don't want this woman to have her lose her life behind this. Like, hey, I understand that people can make a mistake, but the issue behind it is real and needs to be highlighted. Like, I'm empathetic towards her. So when I see that, it's bringing awareness. Like, if a video camera was not there, Amy Cooper would still walk around today doing exactly what she did beforehand because nobody called her out. That is the power of your voice. So use it.